everyone. This is Alyssa with the Joan Pratt Group and Remax Professionals.
And Cody Lowe with Cross Country Mortgage.
And we kind of wanted to chat with you about some of the hazard zones, especially considering a lot of the events that have been happening recently, what with the fires up in Boulder and Greeley. I know from a property standpoint, we lost about 1,000 homes in those fires. I was doing some research just because I was very curious to see kind of how Colorado mitigates that. And apparently Colorado doesn't actually administer burns just because of how close each of these lots and all of the property is to the national forests and to specific grasslands that are ultimately catching fire. With that being said, there's lots of different fires that happen on a yearly basis that are kind of controlling these areas. So it's really something important for you to know if you are moving to Colorado and you are kind of looking to be in a maybe highly treed area or with lots of acreage. It's something to be considering as you move in here or deciding to purchase a property.
Absolutely.
I wanted to give you some quick facts. I was doing some research, found some data, and according to the history of the fires, since 1963, I think in 2021, there was about 10 million acres of land that was just burned based off of fires. That's only 3,000 less than in 2015, which was the maximum amount of acreage burned in Colorado. So it's something to consider as we are kind of, events are happening and we're getting much drier here.
Unfortunately so.
Yeah, so there are definitely global things that are affecting our land, and it's something to be considering as you are buying property. With regards to fires, there's mostly fires here coming from the west coast, or the west side,
Yep.
and also from the upper east coast as well. So up in Greeley and Boulder are where you're going to see a lot of those fire zones, and kind of in the west regions of Colorado as well. In the Denver metro area, kind of where we work, it's much less likely that you're going to be dealing with fires just because we don't have as many forests here, honestly.
Touché.
Yeah, and so that's definitely something to consider.
Awesome. And with considering that, I'm going to go ahead and just talk a little bit about the homeowner's insurance policy and how that can benefit you in different ways. So I've kind of talked to some of my insurance partners over the past couple of days to get to the bottom of what's really the best thing you can do to save your home and your personal belongings in the case of a fire, flood, or even a tornado. Now, not that we see a lot of floods or tornadoes here, but it's just great information to share, and you never know where you might end up one day. So with that being said, when you purchase a home and you take out a mortgage, it's required that your insurance policy has dwelling coverage that covers the entire loan amount. With that being said, sometimes people don't want to pay for any other insurance in that policy, which I totally understand. You know, sometimes it's tough already to buy a home, you're kind of stretching things a little thin, but it's great to have personal protection. So with that being said, I just want to talk about what happens in the event of a fire when you file a claim. So the insurance company is going to pay off the entire mortgage and give you the option to rebuild and or house you for up to 3 years possibly while you find a new living situation. But what that doesn't cover in the dwelling insurance is all of your personal items in the home, unfortunately. That is a total separate policy that you would need to work in. So for example, your house burns down, you have $100,000 worth of personal property within the house, they're only going to give you your mortgage payment. And that's terribly unfortunate. You never know what's in the home, and already dealing with a disaster like that, what's to say that you have the extra money to buy back all your personal belongings? So I highly recommend looking into personal coverage as well, and even adding a potential umbrella policy to your home. Now with that sounds kind of like it's going to be more expensive, but you can roll in your auto insurance, your motorcycle insurance, even your boat insurance if that's something that you do as a hobby on the side. And typically, I was talking to my insurance professional, that will only add $20 to $100 on your monthly insurance payment. So in the long run, that could really save you and get you out of a tight spot. Now, also what to keep in mind is going to be deductibles. That's a big one, and we all know that's kind of a scary thing when having insurance. When you get in a car crash, sometimes you'll have $1,000 or $5,000 deductible. It's exactly the same thing with your homeowner's insurance. So if you pay a little bit more monthly, your deductible will typically be lower when you have crisis come along. So I just like to keep that in the back of people's minds that extra $20 to $100 a month might save you in the long run and really might help out when a disaster strikes. So, one other thing I'd like to touch on really quick is flood insurance is determined by the flood zone that you might live in. These are changing, honestly, weekly sometimes, especially with all the natural weather events going on in the crazy world right now.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. You might want to speak to your insurance advisor. Make sure that your policies are up to date. Figure out if you're in a fire zone now, if your community has turned into a potential flood zone, and just make sure you have the proper coverages. If anybody ever needs a good resource to reach out for something like that, Alyssa and myself both are in contact with some great insurance brokers, and we'd love to help anybody out that has any questions regarding that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In regards to those flood zones, something to consider if you, maybe if you're already a long time resident of Colorado, or if you are just considering moving here, one of the big concerns that we have, which is super protected by the way, but we have the Colorado River. So this is a highly regulated river, and it's used for municipal use, and it's distributed to all of the surrounding states. So not that we are necessarily the most humid place, but California does get their water from the Colorado River. A lot of the drought zones are. With that being said, because of its close proximity to lower Colorado, you're likely to be in more flood zones if you are down there. Make sure to reach out to your realtor because they do have the information as to whether or not the property that you're in or the property that you like is in a hazard zone. That is something that we are required to know, and if you have any concerns about that whatsoever, you should absolutely reach out.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, and if you would like to kind of help with regards to the Boulder fires, I know my office is doing some donations, whether or not you have canned goods, maybe some potential like clothes or I guess bathroom supplies that you'd like to deliver, you are absolutely welcome to bring those down to my office. I'll put the address down below so that you can see, and maybe some other opportunities that you can use if you want to help out those people. But
thank you so much, Alyssa.
Yeah, of course. But for the time being, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And if you want any extra info on anything in regards to home buying, make sure to check out our other videos. And
please do, guys.
have a great rest of your day.
Have a good day.